I'm Nikki and welcome to the Preppy Possum. Today I'm going to lead you step by step through a painting. All right, let's paint a floral in a ginger jar. So let's go ahead and start by getting the start to our ginger jar, which you don't have to make it this shape, but I'm going to make mine kind of like big and to the right. So I'm probably going to let's grab just like a number 6. It's a good size drawing brush and dry it off, and I'm going to use some like light blue and white to start out because then I can come back and add some white to it. And I'm going to skip in just a sliver from the bottom, so just like 1/2 inch, and I'm going to do the bottom of the jar, so it's just going to have barely a droop. And it's closer to the right hand side because I'm doing it a little off center, that way my flowers can fall over. They'll kind of spray to the left. So I'm going to start with like a line that's probably like at least 7 inches long, a droopy line. And then I'm just going to throw the sides of the jar, kind of start off like with a little right hand side of a rainbow on the right, left hand side of a rainbow on the left. And then just kind of bring it right back into the bottom. And then right at the top, let's just kind of like curve it up just like a smidge. It's like 1/2 inch or so. And then we'll just do a little droopy line, which we're gonna have flowers that kind of go over that, but just to get her a little placeholder. I think I got it pretty good size, but kind of get it on there how you want it, and then grab some light blue and white, and we're just gonna fill it in any which way because we're gonna come back and throw white back over this anyway, so just kind of go for it. Just a little placeholder. And when I say any which way, I'm really going any which way, but and you at home, if you don't want to do 2 layers as much, you could just like start out with like barely any blue and like more white. I'm just kind of crazy. And sometimes it looks good to have like a little bit of a blue sheen underneath it, because like the white, how it like won't cover it all the way. That kind of makes it look more like it's porcelain kind of. All right, so we got to start on our ginger jar. Got the base of it. And then we'll just kind of wipe that one off. We can still use that same size brush. I'm using like a number 6, just kind of wipe it off. And now let's go ahead and throw like some pink flowers. So I'm gonna use kind of like to start out like a salmon-y pink. And I'm gonna start like maybe over here and throw one, kind of like a clementine size or so. And then like I'm gonna skip up just a smidge. And this one's gonna be kind of the side view, so this one's kind of more like a bumpy little oval. And then I'll throw one like up here at the top, just because we want a lot of flowers. Then I'm gonna skip like kind of towards the top center and throw a big bumpy whoop, kind of like you're going around the bottom of an orange or a grapefruit. We're just kind of getting our first layer of paint, so it doesn't really matter. And then skip over here to the right and skip in a little bit, and we're gonna throw like a little bumpy circle over there, which some of these will probably end up being covered a little bit with other flowers. And then let's skip up kind of like barely above the lip of our jar. Like right here, and throw a little one. And then we're gonna skip over here to the right. Like maybe like right here on the edge, and I'm gonna throw a little one. Let's see, did we get enough pink? Got some in the middle. I think that's a good start to our pink. So let's go ahead and wipe that one off. And I'm gonna grab a little bit of yellow now. And these little yellow flowers are only like the size of, like a little bit smaller than a quarter probably. You could start out with them about quarter size because we're gonna come back and like eat away at them anyway. And we're gonna add more paint to them so they won't be quite as, you know, hey, I'm yellow, we're gonna add a little white to it later. But just, and like maybe a little half one over here, so like a 1.5. And then up here at the top, I would throw a couple. So we're just kind of holding our place right now. And then like through the middle, like near that, not too far from the pink one, let's just throw a couple. So I'm probably gonna throw like 3, just so all my little clusters aren't the same number. And then I might skip over here and throw one. And then I'm probably gonna skip right here on top of my jar, which that blue is still a little wet right now, but just to get us to start. All right, so we got starts of our yellows. Let's go ahead now and throw some orange. So I don't even have to wipe out my brush. I'm gonna grab a little bit of yellow and orange together. And now I'm gonna throw like an orange one like up here. So it kind of tucks behind that pink one. So just like a part of one. And then I'm gonna throw like a part of one right here because I'm gonna throw some red ones and it'll probably cover it, but I'm just gonna kind of get it started right here. And then I'm gonna throw another big one like over here near this pink one. I'm gonna probably go ahead and throw the whole thing even though my red one's gonna cover it in just a minute. So still the orange and the yellow and just kind of fill it all in. And then like another one right down here, probably near the lip. I'm actually gonna cover up the lip a little bit. And then let's add just like another little part of one right here, which my red one in a second is probably gonna eat away at that too, but just to kind of get it started. Okay, so we got some orange, a few orange. It's a good start to our orange. So now we're ready for some red. So I'm just gonna kind of wipe that one off just a little and grab like some dark red with a little bit of bright red. And let's start over here with this big one. I'm gonna eat away at that orange one I just threw on there. And it's all right if you pick up some of the other color. We're just kind of getting our paint on there. And then I'm just gonna fill it in with a layer. Okay, then let's throw one up here at the top right too, like a pretty big one. Just like you're going around the bottom left of like a grapefruit or something. Like a big one up there. Then let's just add us a couple more. So like right here, I'm gonna probably eat away at my orange one. Just a little. another one on top of that. So we got the start of all of our red on there. So now let's wipe that one off and grab some dark green. And now we're gonna throw like the starts of our leaves on there. So like over here, I'm gonna throw like a big leaf coming out. I'm not gonna throw any of my stems yet because we can do that over the background color. Go ahead and fill all this in with green in the middle. I'm gonna throw like a part of a leaf up here. If you had less space, you could fill in the whole part, but then I'm gonna throw like a part of one right here. And let's get like part of one up here. I might have to eat away at my little orange flower just a smidge. All right, so that's kind of the start of the top ones. Then we'll throw like a few that go over our jar. It's like right here, I might throw a little one. Maybe right here. And let's throw like one over here. And I know these aren't dark yet. We'll come back and throw more. Okay, so we got the start of that. And then let's go ahead and wipe that one off, chunk it in the water, and let's go ahead and grab a huge brush. And we're just gonna start on our background because then we can come back with a smaller brush and get up next to everything. So grab like an inch brush or something like that. And I'm just gonna use like a dark navy blue, and I'm gonna get all the big areas first because then we'll come back and get all the rest. So when I'm adding blue, I add a tiny bit of black to it just to get it a little darker, and it'll cover just a little bit better. So just a smidge of black. Some artists don't like to use black, but start of our background here. And then we'll just let it dry for a second, and then we can get like all the way up next to everything. So we'll just wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. So we got it a little bit dry. So while it's a little dry, let's go ahead and add a layer of white to our vase first. So I'm gonna use like probably a number 6 and dry it off and grab some bright white. And I'm just gonna kind of go any which way. I'm gonna start in the middle just because it's probably more dry there in case I happen to pick up something. And we're just gonna get a layer of paint. Actually, I picked up a little bit of pink. All over. And just kind of go ahead and take this all the way to the edge, because then we'll come back in just a second and get that dark blue all the way to the edge. But we're just gonna fill like a layer of white over everything. Might have to get some more white here. Okay, so we got to start on our white. So let's go ahead and use that same brush, and now I'm going to grab a little bit of the white and pink right there where they touch. Now I'm going to do like a loose little spiral, so kind of like a broken cinnamon roll with that color through all of our pink ones, just to kind of get a little bit of light on there. And whenever you're doing this, make sure you get like a few little wiggles all the way towards the edge too. And you could even use a smaller brush. Like I'd probably recommend like a number 4. I just kind of already had this one in my hand. All right, so we got the start of our pink. Now through like our little, let's do a little bit more to our yellow ones. So I'm gonna grab like a little bit of bright white with the yellow, and I'm gonna throw just a little dab of that right on the top center. That's gonna make it quite not as mustardy, like a little bit more, tone it down a smidge. And I'm just gonna do that right on the top of all of my yellow ones. This green might still be a smidge wet, so, but then we can come back and hit those again. So we got that started. Now we're gonna grab still some white with it, but some yellow and orange with a little bit of white. And now we're gonna do just like a loose, messy spiral through all of our orange ones, just to kind of get a start on those flowers. So just like we did before, just kind of a loose, broken line. And if you happen to get too much, don't worry about it. Just let it dry. You can just go back in with a dark color and kind of wiggle back in there. Then we're gonna do this one. All right, so we have the start to all of our orange flowers. Now, let's get a start to our red flowers. So I'm gonna use like a little bit of the pinks. And I'm just gonna do a messy little spiral. And it's almost like our red flowers, the paint didn't cover quite as well, so we're definitely gonna come back to those in a second and like add a little bit more dark back in. So we'll just kind of get this light on there first, and then we can come back and hit that again in a sec. Then we'll just kind of wipe that one off and grab dark green, and we'll just fill in about have all of our little first things that we threw on there thickened up just a smidge. So now we can go back with like the dark blue, and I'm probably just gonna use this same brush, so like a number 6, and that same navy blue. And now you can get up next to everything. So don't leave any space. And we're gonna get all the way up next to our jar and our flowers. And the trick to getting like a good smooth line is to use a lot of paint and then just be real light with it. So sometimes people don't want to put a bunch of paint. Actually putting a bunch of paint kind of helps you get that smooth edge. So you want a bunch of paint and then just kind of be light with the pressure. And then let's go ahead and fill in like all in between. Everything, then we'll be all set. All right, got the start to our background, finally. So then let's just wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And now let's grab like number 4 and dry it off. And we're gonna grab mostly like a slimy green. It's like a really light green. And we're just gonna do a few bumps of that in through like the middle of our little tangerine or little orange flowers. So just like a tiny little bit, kind of through the middle of those. All right, so we got all the orange, got a little green in there. Now let's add just a little bit of green. You could even grab a little bit of yellow with it. So slimy with a little yellow. We're gonna add a few dabs of that to like the middle of our pink ones. Let's see, and then I can't forget my little pink ones over here too. So like just a little bit. Even the ones that are kind of sideways, just a little smidge. All right, so we got some green through the middle of all those. So I'm just gonna use like a number 6 and a little bit more of that dark red. You can have some bright red with it, but mainly that dark. And I'm just gonna go back in and wiggle with a little bit of that. Just because our red ones were like a little thin. Because I like to have a little bit of texture. And whenever you're doing this, just load it with a lot of paint. It's almost like you're kind of picking your brush up as you go. You'll get better at it too as you do it. But just like loosey-goosey, like a broken little spiral. And we'll do that through all of them. So all your dark ones. Just kind of lean back and make sure you didn't forget one. Okay, and then I would almost grab a little bit of the light pink with it, and then go back in with a little bit of that, even while the dark is wet, just because it looks good to have some light and dark going on. All right, so got the start of that. Let's go ahead now and we'll just let it dry for just a second. Or actually, let's hit our leaves and then we can let it dry. So let's grab like a number 4 and a little bit of slimy limey green with the dark. And we're just gonna hit like one side of all of our leaves just to kind of brighten up like one edge. All right, so got a little bit of that. Then we'll just grab a little bit of dark green and we'll just kind of thicken up the other side, kind of blend it into that. A little bit more dark in here just to kind of thicken it up. All right, and then we'll let it dry for just a second. So we'll wipe that one off, chunk it in the water. All right, so now it's dried a little bit. So let's go ahead. I hate to do this, but let's throw another layer through our jar just because it's almost like not white enough. So I'm gonna grab like a number 6 or 8 and some white, and we're just gonna thicken up our jar first before we go in and add our little stems for our little flowers and stuff. That thickened up, so we should be just a little better. Now, before we throw our stems, let's go ahead and like just through a few of our edges of our pink flowers. I'm gonna make them a little bit more like where we kind of ate away at it. So I'm gonna grab like a number 4 in the light pink again, and I'm just gonna wiggle a little bit of that towards the outside edge. And then I'll just throw just a few wiggles on the inside too, but just in case we kind of chopped them off. I'm gonna do that on all my pink ones. Because I think those kind of got the most of them. And then grab a little bit of white with it, and we'll add just a few more bits of white with the pink through all of our pink flowers. All right, now, because I think those edges probably look the worst, and the yellow ones. Let's go ahead and hit the yellow ones again. So I'm gonna grab some more bright white with the yellow. And then we're just gonna hit like all of our little yellow flowers with like a little bit more of that white and yellow. And this is where I would kind of like even bump it into the edge just a smidge. All right. Okay, so we got all of our yellow ones a little messier. Oh, except for one. I forgot one up here. Okay, got all those a little messier, looking a little better. Now we'll grab, you could use a number 1 size brush for this probably. I'm just gonna use number 4 because it's what I have in my hand, but you could use a 1. And I'm gonna add the little stems. So you just want all these flowers that are hanging out by themselves, you want them to somehow be connected to the spray. So I'm just gonna make sure they're all kind of connected. And I'm just gonna get it on there with like one color, and then I can come back and highlight with that smaller brush. Let's see, this one up here. And make sure these have something connected to them. Let's see, over here, these little flowers. And this little guy. I'm just trying to make sure they're all connected. I think they are. And then while we have that green, I'm just gonna add a little bit more bright to like one side of my leaves. Just to, because that light and dark is what you want. And a little bit more light right up there. We got the start of our green, or let's go ahead and while we're on the green, let's just use a teeny tiny now, so number 1, if you weren't already. And I'm just gonna grab some really light green and add some highlights to those little stems. Just some, because it's gonna dry darker And it goes on. Okay. That should brighten it up a tad. Now let's go ahead and add, actually we'll let it dry for just a second because I think our vase is still a little wet. Okay, now let's use a teeny tiny and dry it off, and I'm gonna start decorating, which you can do any pattern, but I'm gonna use like the dark blue and skip up just a smidge from the bottom. And I'm just gonna do a couple lines that like parallel the bottom edge. All right, so that same teeny tiny, and I kind of got a little bit, like some lines at the bottom, and now I'm gonna add a little bit of pattern to the top. So I'm just gonna kind of add, but like I said, you can do anything you want. Like I've had people do polka dots, all kinds of crazy things. Then I'm just gonna skip down just a smidge, throw like another line. Then I'm gonna throw like a little bit of pattern in there. Okie dokie. Then I'm gonna grab a little bit bigger brush. So I'm probably gonna grab like a number 6 and some dark blue. And I'm gonna do like my big bold. So I'm gonna kind of start with like some dashes and do a line on them. Do like another dash below there. All right, now let's grab a smaller brush. So I would grab like a teeny tiny or like a number 4, and I'm gonna add a bunch of like little, kind of like a little teardrop, little shape. And I'm probably just gonna skip around and do a bunch of these. So I might just start and like do a few in a row in a couple places, and then I'll skip and throw a ton, just kind of any which way. Add a few curving up here. If you do a pattern like this, you'll be tired of the teardrop kind of shape after a while. But now let's just kind of skip around, and I'm just gonna throw a ton of these everywhere. So just go crazy. All right, I could go through and add more, but I'm probably just gonna let it be. Because y'all can come back and add to it and get cray cray. That's a good. And then we'll use a teeny tiny brush and go ahead and grab whatever color. And now we have floral in the ginger jar. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure to check us out. We're on Cox Street in Asheboro. And be sure to check out our website, www.thepreppypossum.com.